All right, peace, everybody. Peace. Welcome to ANU Show Improve. I'm El Karar. You know what I'm talking about? It's just me. You know what I'm talking about? And we are back again. Another adventure, another journey. You know what I'm talking about? In Ramadan Kareem. Um, well, all of you are having a fruitful and progressive fasting, during this Ramadan period. You know what I'm talking about? And look, like I said, just like last time, you ain't complaining. And you're noticing the changes. I'm noticing changes like I don't feel it creeps up on me. I'm like, oh, I didn't eat. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to eat something. But yeah, it gets better, as things progress and you do it for a minute. Then you like, man, I should do this more often, just not on a, but yeah, and I will that you have, thoroughly during this time in tune to your creator. You know what I'm talking about? So peace Alpha Cruz and peace Master Milek and peace Alien. Alien, yeah. No, Alien. Yeah. Peace Fire Starter. Well, I'm not, but peace Fire Starter. Anyway, so we are in a new segment, new series, and it's called Nomad Empires. And today we are talking about, Badlands. I'm talking about as a person that comes from the Badlands. It's very interesting thing to talk about. But also what we're talking about is, the Mongol Empire. I'm talking about. So that goes with Nomad Empire. I sort of like the nomadic empires because they're very interesting, and there's more. Oh man, there's more than just Mongols. They're just more well known in a sense. But I mean, you got the Scythians, you got the Huns, you got the you got more than one. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man. I mean, we can go in on it, but also to help you doing this series or these segments, if you things you can watch, Marco Polo on Netflix, that'll help. There's a movie called Mongol. Most things centered around Genghis Khan and whatnot, except for Marco Polo. That's Kublai, but Mongol is one. Because I used to watch a lot of these dang on movies. There's Genghis Khan, Land, Earth, and Sea, but that's sort of hard to watch because it was a Funimation film, and I got that on DVD when it came out, and that's probably hard to find. Between Land, Earth, and Sea, it's a title like that, but there's that. There's Menbala, which just deals with Mongol life in general. Nobody famous, but it was good though. It was good about these young boys, and it sort of deals with the Muslim side of Mongol culture. There's also there's also it's Chinese and it's a wuxia, but it still deals with it. And is very big, and I would say mainly in China. But that's Legend of the Condor Heroes. I know it's all messed like about this, but it's Legend of the Condor Heroes, right? And it's actually a book, and it's usually called the Chinese Lord of the Rings, but there's no like fantasy that that you think of Lord of the Rings in Legend of the Condor Heroes, right? But it's also a book series. The first book is called The Hero Born, right? And it's by Jin Hong. And it deals with a main character who one of the main characters, he is raised with the children of Chinggis or Genghis Khan. and that plays a lot in the TV series as well as in the book. So that's another thing you could check out. Also, there's a Russian TV show called Golden Horde, and that deals with the Golden Horde side of the game. With the Golden Horde Mongols. You know what I'm talking about? That were dealing with Russia. Running Russia and whatnot, and that whole East Europe scene. Well, Northeast. We just gonna say Northeast because you got more than one. You know what I'm saying? But peace, peace to the chief. You know what I'm talking about? Peace, top tier speakers. You know what I'm saying? Kind of begging. Oh, it I'm glad it do. You know what I'm talking about? Thanks. Give thanks, Master D. You know what I'm talking about? So okay, Jason. Okay. Yeah, I say hi to everybody. All right, so let's get into it, right? But those are just some things you can check out and pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? That help you out. You know what I'm talking about? Usually, I ain't doing movie understanding. So, I'll just tell you, just to help you out, just so you get a visual on what we're talking about here. Okay. But here we go. You know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, like I would say the Russian team, the Golden Horde was very interesting because you don't. The Golden Horde is sort of not talked about, sort of like Tamerlane and them. That's another one. We're gonna get into it, so don't worry about all of that. But but yeah, the Golden Horde was good and interesting, but yeah, man, Mongol. That's like when I saw. Well, I've been in Mongol, watched Mongol and had it for a minute, and then I remember one time asking Chief, so Chief, what was Genghis Khan simping, when he took Baporte, or was he been? I was like, I just want to know because it's like. But we'll get into that. You'll see why I said all of that though. But yeah, man. So here we are. We talking about them Badlands. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So here's a map of the steppe, or the Eurasian steppe. As you can see, there's the eastern steppe, and then there's the western steppe. But it expands, basically two continents, Asia and Europe. You know what I'm talking about. But mostly what we're going to be dealing with is the eastern steppe. But just while we're talking about these lands, you got, we could go into so much history on who were there, like the Huns and Scythians and all these other people. But they lived on these type of lands, But we're mainly dealing with the eastern steppe, as you can see. You know what I'm talking about. But as you can see, it expands a great range, especially when you get into the stands, what I'm talking about, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, things like that. A steppe is a landmass. It's a plateau. Now there's a high steppe and then there's a low steppe. Low steppes are like slightly, on par with sea level. High steppes are way like 5,000, kilometers up. Very, very high mountainous. You know what I'm talking about. So that's what we mean when we talk about steppe. It's very well depending. It's very different climates at times. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, that's what we're talking about. So as you can see, this is the eastern steppe, but this is Mongolia. But I would say, sort of pay attention. It's hard to do sometimes these maps because you want certain things. These maps actually give you tribes and clans and whatnot, but they all spell them different. And if you're not I don't expect nobody to be like me. But if you're not like me, you know what I'm saying, and seeing these things, more than one time, you would know who they're talking about. Like for instance, like you could just say the most notable is the Tatars, because that spelling is never changed. But like Kired, that sometimes changed with spelling, or the Khitans that sometimes changed with spelling. Um the Oning the Onongidat that changed the spelling, because usually just spelled with an O, but here they got it with a KH. Um let's see. Okay, Mergid, usually you spell Merkit, with a K, but all we'll get into tribes later, but all of these tribes are going to um play a part, in the Great Mongol Empire and things like that. But I just wanted you to see what it looks like. Especially, look, you got Jurchen, but sometimes it could be spelled the same. But you see, but also pay attention to, even though we are on the East Coast, you also got what part of China, what I'm saying? Well, what is today China? And you got Korea, which, as you can see, it's Goryeo, or Gogoryeo, which at that time, you know, even Korea went through its own three kingdoms, like Silla and Goryeo, and what was the other one? Silla. Well, it don't matter. We on something else, but yeah. Okay, this just shows you landmass and geography, and how high up. You got the different mountains. You got the Altai Mountains. As you can see, like in the first map I show, the Altai Mountains sort of separate eastern steppes from the western steppe. So yeah. Okay, so nomad. Since we talking about nomads, um, a member of a people who have a fixed residence, who have no fixed residence, but move from place to place, usually seasonally, and within a well-defined territory, or an individual that roams about. Okay, so just sort of for your information, what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about when we talk about nomad. A person or a group of people that sort of doesn't have a fixed residence and roams about. It's like, well, okay, it's like that part of like that opening scene in Harlem Nights when Richard Pryor is questioning quick, and he says, "Well, where you live? I don't live nowhere. I guess you can live with me. All right." Something like that. I wouldn't trust him in the house with me. He's all right. Give me 5. I ain't giving. Well, see, yeah, it's funny if I can't do it all. But yeah. So now, empire is a major political unit having a territory of great extent, or a number of territories or people under a single sovereign authority. The territory of such a political unit, imperial sovereignty, rule, or dominion, something resembling a political empire. Okay, so this is why we call it a nomad empire, right? All right. Others prefer a dualistic model, um, with the low steppe comprising Western Turkestan, the Northern Caspian, and the South Russian plains, and the high steppe consisting of Eastern Turkestan and outer and inner Mongolia. As the name suggests, the high steppe covers the lands at an altitude between 4,000 and 1,500 feet, while the low steppe terrain is at sea level. Okay, so that's why I said there's the high step and then there's the low step. You know what I'm talking about? Crucially important to Mongolia are its rivers. Though many are impermanent and evanescent, water was always most pressing resource for the inhabitants. You know, because the step is, don't think there's no there's no greenery, but given weather conditions and many things that we'll get into today, um, water is always a valuable resource when you look at eastern steppe, because we're talking about the eastern steppe. Especially when it's surrounded by mountainous regions, and not mentioning, just the high altitude, but also um the seasonal change, because Mongolia, borders what Russia as well as China, but borders Russia or Siberia, so it's a very cold place as well in the sense like that. You know what I'm talking about? So water is very precious. It's not desertous. You know what I'm saying? But water is a very precious resource. You know what I'm saying? It's opposite, because when we think of of water being a resource, we just usually think of desert. You know what I'm saying? We never think of a place that's make hilly where just nothing grows. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, nothing's really around it. It's just flat. You know what I'm saying? It, but it can be a place where you fight for your survival, and that's what makes this so very interesting if you pay attention. So Mongolia is essentially a plateau occupying approximately a million square miles, set at a much higher altitude than the steppes in Turkestan and the west, ranging from 3,500 to 500 feet. Its central and electable feature is the Gobi Desert, which comprises 1/3 of the area of Mongolia, with steppe and meadow about 50% and forest 15%. So you have, it's in basically the southern region, you have the Gobi Desert. You know what I'm saying? You sort of like, if you ever like, you sort of see it in certain movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Let's see. There's what was that movie by him? It's well, I'll think about it later. But there's that. But sometimes you see usually Chinese movies where they go into a desert, and they have to cross the desert. That's the Gobi, in the sense. Usually it's the Gobi, unless they going, westward. But that's the Gobi. They're crossing to get, to where, the Mongols or certain tribes are. You know what I'm talking about? But as you can see, it's not a lot of forest. 15%, half of it's just metal. So there's not a lot of wood. And just think about, you have to live here, but also you gotta fight for it too, because you ain't the only one here. You gotta fight for these lands. Things will happen to you. So yeah, man. Yes, the man with the iron fist. Yeah. Yeah, Kung Fu Hustle. Yeah, Kung Fu Hustle. Um, mm, nah, I can't use that one. Oh, I used to watch so many. I want to say, Warlord or Warlords with Jet Li. Um, that one, because I do remember they had to have a desert scene at one point, at least when they were all locked up. But yeah, there's a mixed air um like that in the movie Hero with Jet Li as well. Yeah, see, you see that. So okay, now the Gobi is not a desert in the same sense as the Sahara is, and its surface can be grassy, sandy, pitted with scree or boulders, um, or striated with salt marshes. One on the outer fringes, a transparent belt of grass apparent, and grassland is widespread and abundant. But as one penetrates deep into the interior, vegetation um, tends to be limited to scrub and grass reeds. So it's not a bunch of, like I said, it's not like the Sahara or the Sahel where it's just sand as far as the eye can see. You know, it's not like that. There's I guess you could say scenery. There's some scenery, but but it's not gonna be special. You're gonna see some boulders, you're gonna see a little bit of grass here and there, but you're gonna see some reeds, and it's not gonna look special. That's one thing that I can say about when you look at certain TV shows that show the Gobi, you see a lot of reeds, or and things like that. What I'm saying? Peace, Emma Queer. You know what I'm talking about? That's very interesting, especially um if you like see not the completed Great Wall, but the older Great Wall. You see reeds coming out of the older parts that are just ruinous. You know what I'm talking about? Not the completed Great Wall of China, but the earlier ones. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. Clearly, for the traveler across the Gobi, the primary problem was water. In normal circumstances, wells 10 feet deep had to be dug every 30 miles or so, only with heavy rainstorms. In summer and aridity mitigated, dust storms were another hazard, but travelers failed to agree on their frequency and severity in the Gobi Desert. Well, in the Gobi. So, in order to really survive and make that trek across it, you had to hit a water source, basically every 30 miles. Kiss your butt goodbye. Anyway, but you had to hit a water source every 30 miles. And then, you know what I'm talking about, it could be a dried up well because maybe there wasn't a rainstorm in the summer to actually replenish it. You know what I'm talking about? One thing, it'll get into it, but one thing is that not a lot of rain falls in this region. You know what I'm talking about? So it, like I say, saltwater marshes, things like that. You know what I'm saying? You have to be careful, and then don't forget, you had to deal with also, at least in the book it said, you had to deal with mirages, just like you would in the Sahara. You know what I'm talking about? And the heat is no joke. Exactly, it's no joke. You know what I'm saying? But on the it's not like the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the Sahara where you got sand all over everywhere. You got to deal with dust storms. You will probably have to deal with a dust storm. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I say, it's not like sand far as the eye can see. You know what I'm saying? You'll see some green. You will see some green. It may be a little tan, but you'll see some green. You may hit a rock or two. You know what I'm talking about. Things like that. But you'll be all right. But think about it. This was actually, if in hindsight, this was actually a natural barrier. It was a natural, well, since we're on the Mongol or steppe side, it's a natural barrier for your to stop incursions from basically whatever dynasty ruling. We just can't say China because really there is no China, in the sense. There's different states probably, or different dynasties to rule, but China as we know it does not really exist. You know what I'm saying? So, but basically the Empire South, now it doesn't impede, those living on the steppe, because why? If it did, they wouldn't need a Great Wall now, wouldn't they? So who knew how to basically, go over the Gobi Desert or over the Gobi and come back, you know what I'm saying? And put in that work, because that's what they were doing as well, raiding and whatnot. But we'll get into that as well. But yeah, it's a natural barrier, which, like I said, it helps one, it doesn't help the other in a sense, because they still have to build something, But yeah, so this is just something fun to look at, if you expect, well, just nice, things to look at, just to see, what I'm saying. They reveal different superior knowledge of the terrain. Yeah, well, like I say, these are the Badlands, man. You have to be, you got to be tough to live there. You know what I'm talking about? You got to be tough, just like in the, just like in these Badlands, you got to be tough. You know what I'm talking about? I would also say, like, I know I told the brothers this one time, where another people I think of, when it comes to living in Badlands and surviving, is the Apache. You know what I'm talking about, or the Dene, but the Apache. Now how can you create cross-country runners in a desert, depending on tribe though, but how can you create cross-country runners like that and run through run through all of that terrain that's just like this in a sense? But they were able to do it. You know what I'm talking about? And live, and live there, and you could run away from the military, well, from the Union soldiers, but from the military, because they ain't gonna be able to catch up to you, and you're on foot, because not everybody got horses. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man, I mean, there's that, or I can say, the Sioux or the Lakota, they like to say they from Minnesota, and then they come to Heartland. And it's the same way. You can't grow nothing there. but man, you catch a lick on some dang on buffalo and horses that the Spaniards sprung over, and bam, you able to survive, in the Dakotas and Montana and whatnot. And then you understand the terrain of the winter and the seasons and how they change. Man, it's amazing. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, see, look, all the stars. Get to look at all the stars and whatnot. And that's just the Gobi. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man. Oh, I say Master, like, don't be scared of me, man. Don't be pump faking. But yeah, man, I tried to make sure I didn't get nothing copyrighted for sure, man. because a lot of things that I probably wanted to show, I knew was gonna be copyrighted. So I was like, nah, I ain't gonna even try. But if I wanted to just put, a video that you probably should look at, I just put the link in it and just tell you, watch that. You know what I'm talking about? Especially there's a documentary I want to show. But I do that. Yeah, I think I'll do that next segment. Yeah, I'll do that next segment. So now that we had that break, look, break. Now that we had that break, we can move on. So, with so little air humidity to produce clouds, Mongolia enjoys 500 hours more sunshine in summer than Switzerland or Midwestern states of the USA at the same altitude. So, basically, those of us in the Midwest, we're at the same altitude as Mongolia, but they have what? More sunshine, more sunshine than us, especially here, what I'm talking about. But there's a difference, what I'm talking about. We're more prairie, where they're on a plateau and things and stuff. We're, prairie states. We call them prairie states. Huh. Separates us from the rest. But yeah, we're, more prairie, around here. Illinois, I grew up learning that it's a prairie state, so we have prairie states, but yeah, man, have more sunshine, well, there's clouds and humidity and stuff, so sometimes it just be gloomy, especially in the Badlands. So yeah, man, that was just, you're gonna see some fun facts. That was just a fun fact for me, man. So now, eastern part of Mongolia is thus especially favored, and within this favored area, most privileged of all is the area around the Onan and Caroline rivers, exactly where Genghis Khan was born. So that eastern region is very favored. You know what I'm saying? It has forests and things like that, and rivers. You know what I'm talking about? It's special not just because it's the birthplace of Genghis Khan, but just from I would say a strategic or regional point of view, it has value from a geographical point of view. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, strategy. I know it's strategy, but it's strategy. You know what I'm saying? It was strategy. You know what I'm talking about? I had to think about it. I didn't want Mr. Producer to come down. We like him in his office, with the big glass window, just looking down, smoking his cigar, keep up the good work, ain't saying nothing, chilling, but when he gotta come down, what's the issue. So let's just keep him in the big house. keep him upstairs, okay? Keep him upstairs. So yeah, man. Now, the climate of Mongolia has always ruled out significant agriculture, the inadequate water supply, and the rapid disappearance of moisture because of evaporation and solar radiation, and only the worst of problems, to which should be added a short growing season, extensive swamps and marshes, cold and dry conditions, and a salty waterlogged or frozen soil. Tundra. So we're just gonna put tundra in there. So like I said, he's bad. You can't grow nothing up. You can't grow nothing here. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have enough time to have things grow. The season's too short. You know what I'm saying? Or the change of season, the growing season is way too short. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to worry about, look, you may get water, but then you got to worry about evaporation. And that, sun rays, things like that. You have to worry about that constant evaporation. Like I said, it gets a lot of sunshine. Luckily, like for us, like um compared to Mongolia, we, because of that, I would say that cloud cover that we get, what I'm saying, we're able to retain um a lot of moisture and things, so we're able to grow things. That's why, grain, soy, things like that. If grain, soy, and all that other stuff. Unless it's bad when it what floods. or drought. That's what two things we worry about here: drought and flooding. you know, you know, very bad flooding. Things like that. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. Messing him upstairs, good. Him downstairs, not good. For sure, bro. So yeah, man. And like I say, it got swamp and marshes. Hey, mosquitoes. When you think of swamps and marshes, mosquitoes, and it's cold and dry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. It's not fitting for an agrarian society in a sense. You know what I'm talking about? It's not made for that. Sort of like same thing. Like I said, same thing with the Dakotas, man. I'm talking about that plains heartland, man. It's not made really for growing things. It never was. Thus, you had so much buffalo. You know, it's good to grow other things. Now that doesn't mean that there wasn't tribal societies that wasn't at least sort of agrarian where they grew things. Not at all. There is some tribes that practice it, but not a lot. It just depends on where they were based. I'll say that like that, based. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it does make a lot more sense. Same thing with like with Siberia. You know, only if you think. You think? Well, no, I'm not gonna do it. No, not gonna do it. No, low kid show. Just keep it like a kid show, kid friendly. So, yeah, let's just say it's only those Mongol people that live in Siberia. With reindeer and stuff. There's another movie about that too, but I can't remember it. But it was good because it had to do with assassin. Yeah, somebody got killed. Uh, but yeah, yeah, yeah. But in Siberia, they got reindeers and stuff. Still in, But yeah, so here we as you can see, when I saw this picture, that's what I thought about. Really, that's what I really thought about. I thought of basically something I never seen before in my life, but heard about it. Or have I? I only heard the opening thing like one time, but I never seen Rawhide. But some of y'all, elder or older people, have seen Rawhide. Cut them in, move them up, ride them in, Rawhide, rolling, rolling. I've never seen it. I've never seen it, but yeah. So, all right. The people of Mongolia were and are mainly nomadic pastoralists. You know, what we mean by pastoralists is that they basically herd sheep, cattle, things like that. Pastoralists. But this phrase masks complexities, for there are pastoralists who are not nomadic and nomads who are not pastoralists. Okay, so like I say, it's complexities. You know, um, let's see. There's them, and then there's Hmm. Okay. We'll go like this. In nomadic pastoralism, the drovers have no fixed abode, live in tents, and move with animals from season to season. Although animals were private property, pasture was held in common by extended kinship groups, where the strongest tribes and clans claimed the best pasturage at the optimum time of year. You know, so okay. In order to understand this, in a sense, let's put it to you like this, because this was an example. Um, Cowboys, and we're talking about here. But when we talk about cowboys, we talking about cowboys, because you don't call them no cap. You don't call them no boy. We all know that, right? For those of us that know, you don't call them no boy. So who's them boys? Hold up. We them boys. For those of us that have gone to the Black Rodeo and seen them, you know, those were fun times. But if you want Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, you're gonna see them, man. You're gonna see, Melon Rich Cowboys, going to rodeos, oh man, and they do amazing things, on a horse, what I'm talking about. But yeah, we them boys, just so you know, we them boys. But it brings up the example because cowboys, or you could say cattle barons and things like that, because they worked for somebody, or cowhands, they were pastoralists, but they weren't nomads. Why? Because they didn't go from place to place. They always return back. Usually, drop the cattle off, on a train because it's coming to Chicago. Because we the meat packing, place at that time. So you put them on, put them on the train, and then you go back home. you know, um, so that could be considered, at pastoralis, but you're not nomadic. You know, you don't go from place to place and live, like literally live from place to place. You just, drop cattle off at one place, drop it back, and then you go home. You know what I'm talking about? Like Yellowstone. If you've seen the TV series Yellowstone, basically pastoralis, right? But they're not nomadic. You know what I'm talking about? They actually live on a ranch. So that's when we talk about nomadic pastoralism, we're talking about, yes, we move, like we literally move, you know, um, with our herd. You know what I'm talking about? Like we don't just stay in one place. We literally have to move. Same thing with, like I say, with the Sioux, Lakota, Teton, Mini Conju, Hung Papa, Ogala. Um, they moved wherever the buffalo were. You know what I'm saying? They moved wherever the buffalo were. Same thing. In the sense. But the thing was, they weren't pastoralists because why? They were nomadic, but they weren't pastoralists because why? Their prime um animal was bison, buffalo. You couldn't domesticate a dang on buffalo in the sense. You can't, it's wild, gotta go wild. What I'm talking about in the sense, So that is the example of being nomadic but not pastoralis. You see what I'm saying? You know. So um whereas cowboy is pastoralis, but they're not nomadic. Same thing. you know Cowboys and Indians, right? So it's the same difference. Now you sort of see the conflict in culture in a sense. You know what I'm talking about? Where you have, a nomadic people, and then you have anti-nomadic people, but one's pastoralist, one's not. And then that's where you can say the fight goes in, the fight comes in. We could get into it more deeper, but no. But yeah, man. So now the Mongols were adept at making felt for tents. Peace out there, Hava. First, they beat the wool, then poured boiling water on it and rolled it back and forth until the fibers locked to produce fabric. Felt was a key aspect of Mongols' tent, the gear. The more familiar word, yurt, was a later Russian coinage. Okay. So the Mongolian word for yurt was gear, you know. And as it provided insulation and protection against high winds, which if you live in the Heartland, that's one thing we always have to worry about, high winds. And let me tell you, if you ain't never had your car pushed from winds, you probably would understand what I'm saying. But I mean, like you driving and there's nothing there. There ain't no trees, no nothing. There's nothing there, and the wind just hits the car, and then you just swerve a little bit, and you can feel like you can literally feel like if the wind blows any harder, I'm gonna fly. Your car pushed. Yeah. If you ain't never felt that before, but it happens here. It's not talked about, but it happens here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure it happens way worse when you get into the heartland, But I've experienced that, having that wind pushing. Yeah, when you have to deal with high winds. And like I say, man, summer retreat, man, we stayed in gears or yurts, I stayed in the big yurt. Usually that'd be equivalent to the chief's gear or yurt, being how big it was. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, I got, I got to be in the Chiefs, even though that wasn't Chiefs, but the equivalent of what it would be because it was very big. But yeah, man, I enjoyed that that experience. Look, I enjoyed it so dang on much, man. I was playing dang on Mongolian music. I didn't go full, full on, with all the throat singing. And I sure enough did not play the who. And by the who, I mean, not the who, which is WHO, the who, who are, no. I played the who. No, I didn't even play the who, which is HU. They got this cool rock song. They Mongolian throat sing, but with rock, right? And they got this nice song that's called Genghis Khan. Love that song. So yeah, but I enjoyed it. But it's sort of ain't the same because the yurt we stayed in wasn't felt. It was basically tarp from the feel of it. So, but it was a great experience in North Carolina. You know what I'm talking about. Had a moon opening. I used to look up at stars. But yeah, man, it was fun. But yeah, wind all day in your ear, it's no fun. Yeah, it's no fun unless you like wind like that. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's not fun at all. So, the Mongols next made an educated estimate of how many animals would survive on the winter pasture and slaughtered the weakest and least hardy specimens. The meat would then be smoked as a winter food supply. The Mongols' diet was therefore also seasonal. Dairy products in summer, meat in the winter. Okay, so for some cultures, living, where they are, that's how they govern their eating diet. You know what I'm talking about? Um, and besides, this harsh place. You know what I'm saying? So you have to basically estimate, okay, that one ain't gonna live, past the winter, because the winters are harsh. So that one ain't gonna live past the winter. We're gonna have to make jerk out this. I'm just saying, like, come on, come on. So it's like one of those. We gonna set, these aside because they don't look strong enough. So just push them aside, and we gonna eat them, once winter get here, But they ate dairy products in the summer. Now, whether or not that's a smart plan, I ain't worried about it. But dairy products like milk, milk and yogurt, cheese, and they have alcoholic beverage called kumis, which comes from goat milk. I'll get into it later, but the best, or the kumis that was most prized was black kumis. That was reserved for like the chief, or the Han, you know, which was actually horse milk, which I would have never thought. But yeah, you make it with horse milk, which sort of makes sense, when we talk about Mongol culture. But just mind you, not every tribe here is Mongol. That's one thing you gotta take. It's just that's the designation now. You know what I'm talking about? But ethnically, not everybody's Mongol here. You know what I'm talking about? Ethnically, no. It's the same thing like with China. You got your Han, you got your Cantonese. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody ain't the same. You know what? There is a famous mainland Chinese actress, Dear Robert, right? She don't look, like a ethnic, typical Han Chinese, because she's Uyghur. It's hard for me to say, but Uyghur, which is basically more northern. As you saw on the map. Her people was on the map, but she's a famous actress. Reba Del Robert. Well, it's actually Del Robert Demarat, but yeah. I imagine that made the other cattle strong, since they wouldn't be breeding with the weaker cattle that were slaughtered. Yeah, for cattle, not just cattle, but sheep and goats as well. For sheep and goats as well. That was also used for sheep and goats. We'll get into a little bit more cattle next strong, but yeah, because even they had a breed of cattle that it's very interesting. So, okay. Moreover, even in such a steady state, nomads had to make precise calculations about water supply and distance between wells and water holes, as the different animals they herded moved at different speeds and had different water needs. Okay, so you have to factor all of that into the equation. You have to know the water needs of the animal which you're herding. And basically saying what's the average water need for cattle, or a horse or a sheep, But yeah, you have to, and then you have to know, okay, what's the nearest water source? You know what I'm saying? And how far is it? Can they survive that long? You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things you got to figure out in these badlands. You know what I'm talking about? Practically anywhere. Just in case of this thing, we go back to, you know, Wild West or whatever, and we got to move some dang on cattle around here, you know, some of us gonna have to figure that out. Preferably somebody with good math skills. And no lay of the lands and stuff like that. You know, but yeah, it's good things to know. That's some things you got to figure, you know, think about. I know now, you know, in the West, you know, we have girls so pretty. We don't think about actually like having to move, you know, sheep from one place to another, man. You know, but yeah, man. Peace, sovereignties. So that's something to take in. So here's another video. This should be it. It's a short video. It's not much, you know, but we'll you know. Okay, so as you see from the video, that was person building a yurt column. You know what I'm saying? See him working that wood wheel. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, you know, I'm working wood wheel. But yeah, man, you know. So as you see, it showed the process on how you make a wood column. I thought that was very interesting. You know what I'm saying? And look, you can still use them dang on, you know, chips for dang on firewood or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? You know, nothing goes to waste. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. But we'll get into a little bit more uh showing the process of gear or yurt making. One thing is interesting is people that actually, I mean, Mongols and, you know, those in Siberia still make yurts, but other people that also make yurts that I didn't know, Kyrgyzstan, people of Kyrgyzstan, which I've been there. Said boots something around. I didn't see much, but yeah, I've been to Kyrgyzstan, and that's one thing that they do. They make yurts, you know. But mostly, from what I've seen, at least in videos, it's more like a tourist attraction thing. But there are other people that make yurts in Kyrgyzstan, which I've actually been to. Exactly, you know, it was a cool rhythm. I do agree with that, bro, for sure. You know what? When you talk about rhythm, oh man, okay. I like it that rhythm to like okay. Ever seen Dumbo? And they building the tent, and you know it's us putting up the tent. Hut to, you know, they put the spikes in and work all day. I used to like that say, you know. Happy hunting on the clock. Boom, 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 boom. And they're doing it. And they're doing it with a thunderstorm at that. Got the elephants and they're doing it too. You know? So, yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. The other favorite part is them dang on brothers. I ain't see that. I only heard. I'll not take your word. But anyway, I've been unseen about everything. But yeah, the Mongol herdsmen had to balance all these climatic variables while maintaining 5 different types of domestic animal: sheep, goats, cattle, horses, and camels. I know we don't think of camels when we think of Mongols, but yes, they were there. All with different needs and requiring different management techniques. Later, well, next strong, we'll do more horses, of course, horses and camels, but sheeps and goats. We'll do horses and camels, cattle next strong. But yeah, sheeps and goats this strong. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, especially when you're picking that. I wonder about especially when you know, when you gotta pick cotton. You know, that's where all the soul music come from. Especially when you gotta pick cotton and you know your hands gonna get cut up. You know, if you got to pluck it out. You know, you gotta pluck that cotton out. You know, if you ever seen For Color People, don't be snapping off the bulbs. You gotta pluck that cotton out, boy. That's another movie y'all probably ain't seen. But it got Felicia Rashad in it, and Leon, he was in it. Jason Weaver was in it. And it was actually a book. But yeah, For Color People. But yeah, you know, when you gotta, put in that work, from sun up to sundown. Swing low. Well, we know all the spirituals. Don't think it was just about gospel. You gotta have rhythm and pluck out that dang old cotton, because you're doing it, rows, So you gotta, gotta have something to keep you on point, Rhythm helps. It's interesting. Can't wait to this. Yeah, man. Yeah. I wanted to break it up, but cattle, horses, especially we all know, especially horses in that strong, because that is too long. I didn't want to make this too long or whatever. So yeah, especially horses, because but camels, man, I that's something that going to pay attention to. You know what I'm talking about? Because that was very interesting as well. Because you wouldn't you just think horses when it comes to Mongols or those living on horses, just strictly horses. I was surprised by sheep, goats, cattle, and camels. But like I say, look, another people that you got to think about is the Shanyu, which are the Huns. Shanyu, which also lived in this region, but they left. You know what I'm talking about? And they had to cross the steppes, but they also had these sort of practices as well. But yeah, man. So they understood the seasons and cycles of various landscapes and regions and kept track of it. Yes, they kept track of it, but also it's not only that. You have to keep track of how can I say this? Product resource consumption. Let's just say it like that. Resource consumption, because you're dealing with domestic animals, so you have to understand their their consumption of resources like grass and water and things like that. And well, slides. Okay, got to follow the slides. So horses and cattle need wetter pasture than sheep and goats. So they require streams and fertile land. In Mongolia, this pasturing this means pasturing them separately from other stock. So sometimes everybody ain't gonna be in the same same space for good reason too. For good reason, like follow me, messing like because you said this thing was interesting. So yeah, so you already can see that horse and cattle, they have their own needs, So you always have to be near sort of like a river or a stream, dealing with them, where land is fertile because that's their resource needs are. You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about horses, for those that ain't probably never seen, Eastern TV or things like that, horses here look totally different than Western horses or Spanish horses, which what we're used to, Arabians, whatever, depending on the breed, you know what I'm saying, stallions. But these horses are totally different. They look totally different. They're still horses, but they look totally different. They're more shorter. We'll get a little bit into it, but they're more shorter. The Mustang. That's no. I'm not going off the path. But yeah, they're more shorter, and they're not as tone muscular like you see Western horses. In a sense, they're not. When you see Western horses or European horses, they're very muscular in the sense where you can actually see their muscles. They built for tough. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's their horses are not really like that. But we'll get into that, next round. But yeah, sheep and goats notoriously crop grass very closely. Which means that larger livestock cannot graze the same land immediately after them. Overgrazing by sheep and goats was particularly serious as their hooves cut the surface of the ground and exposed the soil, leading to wind erosion. You get them stuck. Oh man, I'm not going off the path when it comes to John. I ain't even from the East Coast. Talk to them dudes. Talk to them Philly dudes. But I do know about them John. I do know about them yellow. Kid show. Anyway, but see, when we're dealing with sheep and goats, like I said, you have to be very careful with them. Why? Because they will eat up all the grass. So you already know that horses and cattle can't graze with them, but they'll eat up all the grass, and then they'll cut the ground with their hooves, and then leave wind erosion, and then that makes the ground just unsuitable. You know what I'm talking about? So you gotta move them on, and you gotta move them on so there's still grazing ground, for next season. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man. To me, this was something very important to pay attention to, because for those that ain't sheep or goat, there's something you have to pay attention to, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? If but yeah, man. I never thought hooves could cut the surface and whatnot. But yeah, you know. So yeah, you know, so not only do you have to pay attention to all it, you gotta pay attention to, you know, okay, how much are they eating? Okay, that's that. Okay, move them along. You know, we don't want the ground too short because you know this is grazing land and it has to remain grazing land, and we can't expose the soil. You know what I'm talking about? So this will probably also be another reason why you want to, you know, kill the ones that are weak and ain't worth, you know, ain't worth it. You know, you also got to think about the grazing ground as well. So that was another reason you have to estimate. Okay, this one ain't gonna, yeah, don't need them, you know. But yeah, waste of food. Anyway, it was axiomatic that no pasture should ever be grazed by the same stock year in and year out. The technical reason, apart from erosion, is that steady accumulation of dung and urine from the same kind of animal after a time ceases to have a fertilizing effect and instead becoming poisonous, not only providing less nourishment, but also enhancing the danger of disease and epidemics. I didn't know that. Sometimes I'm learning just like you are, but I didn't know that. You know, so you have to be careful, you know, with grazing, but also you can't graze at the same place year in and year out because dung and urine, which we all know what those are, you know, can cease to become a fertilizing effect and thus become poisonous and cause disease and epidemics. You know what I wonder? Nah, I ain't gonna speculate. But yeah, we ain't trying to die. You know. Hey, too much. Well, we can make a bunch of jokes about this whole thing, but hey, can kill you. You know, it's not always a fertilizing effect. Okay, so um, we always got to select what new grazing ground year in and year out, and think it for more than one domestic animal, especially when it comes to our horses, because you know we love our horses. But yeah, you know, nature's lawnmowers so they can graze. Just can't let them stay in one spot for too long. Yeah, I pity folks who had to find that out the hard way. Exactly. Some people have to find that out the hard way because it ain't gonna be pretty. And epidemics during this time ain't no modern medicine, pimp. I mean, yeah, you know, this is the like the 900s, 1100s, 1200s, you know, so you do get, you know, you do got the Moorish boys, you know, they know about science and medicine, but just the steps, you know, you do got, you know, you do got Chinese medicine, but they ain't about to go all the way up there. So prevention is our main source of medicine. Prevention, you know. That's how we stay involved, you know, disease and epidemics. Prevention. We got to prevent these things from happening or even starting. Therefore, we have to be very cautious about what we do, you know, especially when it comes to grazing. So, all this meant either that special feeding ground had to be set apart for cattle and horses, or that they had to be pastured before and ahead of sheep and goats, which is very self-explanatory. You just bring the horses in, let them graze, and then okay, that's enough. Bring in the sheep and goats, you know, things like that, you know, or you know, you just set apart, you know, grazing ground or pasture for each one, you know, compartmentalize it properly like that. So yeah. objectively, the most economically valuable asset they possessed were their massive flocks of sheep. But subjectively, it was the horse that was the most prized in their value system. The Mongols rated their stock in it in the descending order of importance as follows: horses, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats. So that's mainly why we're sort of dealing with the sheep and goat first, and then we'll deal with things that like horses, camels, and cattle later, But yeah, now economically, the sheeps are more valuable. But when we talk about sheep, you got to remember these are different breeds. So we're not thinking about Western sheep. You know what I'm saying? Western European sheep. No, they're very skinny and don't have a lot of meat on them. You'll sort of, you'll see them in the movie. But ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like Babe, the movie Babe, where you had them big sheep and youngin, no. Bah, ram you. No, it ain't that. Okay? It ain't that. No, these some lean sheep. We can still make goat curry out of them, but they lean. Okay? But they're lean. They're not real bulky. I'm talking about. But yeah, man. So yeah. See, as you see the sheep and the goats, they're not that big. As you can see, he's shearing the sheep, for those that don't know.
Өтгөрийнхоо дайгна шэгэ нүцсэн сайхан тавны тига Татартай солонгоо чиматаули үртингдо энэдэн остагирихэмбайда 강간오라 도토노라 갔다달라 찬드문만이리친 이모고또 마이엔 깐돌라 새끼길래 탑삼마시루 한가에 생에 도고로 홈모쇼 오챙갱에 드게 챙크레 딩기레 이게 탑다가 탁신 컴볼로 인미네 필 이티게 가라가샹 한단에 인자자다를 생각하롱 되게 서로부터가 진게 너로 인사헌들이층 작은 샤르긴 익식되노다 사간 세르네 탈리고 와르딩 시게 비트니 와이소 거르고 바래진 거야 들이택 죽인 딩들도 세가 이미 사이흥 탈라노띠가 안에층에 비트니 에티노띠가 티미데 사이흥 타다노띠가 에리키티 몽골린 다르흥 노타 Таммото хооцаа сөххитаа татминогта турситаа маринга хоормны чигүүрэ эндэлийгэж ойхан дуугаан цээхэн хандарэ жанжинга сүх инирээр үтсэн жаргалтай битний таммогтнуудыга залуур намара чатага амбарусан заяа төвшин Монголын утаа.
So that was how a felt gear or yurt was made. You didn't get well, they didn't show the making of the frames, but they did show how you actually made felt yurts, from sheeps and goats, So I think it was interesting, you beating it, with stick and whatnot, and then you roll it out, roll it like carpet, You just put it up, and look, it had a nice dough on it too. But yeah, man, that was cool, So this ain't gonna be. So join us next, Sean, because we're going to get more into the Badlands when it comes to horses, camels. We're going to talk about a little bit of the family structure. Also, if it doesn't go over, because we gotta worry about that. If it doesn't go over, well, I'll also get into a few tribes. We're gonna talk about some Mirkits. We're gonna talk about some Tatars. We'll talk a little bit about the Jin dynasty. Now, when we talk about Jin dynasty, we're not talking about the Jin dynasty of the Sima Yi clan. No, there's another Jin dynasty. That Jin dynasty, which was founded by Sima Yi and well, not by Sima Yi, but his children, that comes before the Jin dynasty of during like the Mongol times. You know what I'm talking about? Which you see also, like I was talking about, Jun Hong and Legend of the Condor Heroes is during the Jin dynasty that, but that's Jin song, which Jin Jurchens, what I'm talking about. Hey, they they about that life too, what I'm talking about. But they run things, what I'm talking about. More like I said, you will see, ethnic, different ethnicities, in a sense, run China in a sense, like the Jin and the Manchurians. You know what I'm talking about? That Qing, that ice and jetto, Oh, man, that ice and jetto puyi, you know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man. Yeah, good things messing in that. So that's what we'll be talking about. We'll get into more because all of that's about the Badlands, man. Have this place, tubbins up, people. You know what I'm talking about. And how it fashions things, or certain cultural things around them, man. So that's what we're gonna get into next strong. You know what I'm talking about? So we ain't done, you know what I'm saying? But we got, join us for our new fellowship, you know what I'm talking about? Then we have, like always, room. I always got to make sure, we do that. I got to make sure, because I keep on wanting to say space. Just. I know she's like, just grow up. But yeah. Then we have midday affirmation. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man, we still going. And also, let me see if I can pull it up like always. So we ain't gotta change things around. But yeah, don't forget, summer retreat, June 2023. You know, we gonna be in that NOLA, you know what I'm talking about? We gonna be in that Big Easy, so you gotta come down, whoop. You know, you know, I just want to say, you know, because apparently there's gonna be some beignets there. Can somebody just set mine off to the side? I will fight people about my beignets. All right. I will cut you about some beignets, man. I don't play when it comes to beignets, especially when I ain't had them in a long time. So set mines, if I have it, set mines aside, just on reserve. You know, so but come on out. You know, we like before, you know, it's very important that you register, you know what I'm talking about, so we can get a head count on who's coming, you know what I'm talking about. So come on down to that Louisiana, you know, or that Louisiana. But yeah, you know, come on down to that New Orleans, you know what I'm talking about. And we gonna have a swinging good time, you know. But yeah, so that's something you gotta look out for. So 1 second, gotta put this back. I don't care if a steak or plant-based beignets. I would cut you about my dang on beignets, man. I would cut. I'm not plant-based, whatever. They beignets. It's bad enough. I ain't gonna be able to go to Cafe Du Monde and get. I don't play about my beignets, man. And I will be critiquing. But yeah, man. To register. Yeah, like I said, so we get a head count. But yeah, give thanks to everybody. And I will see y'all next strong, man. When we keep on with it with Nomad Empire, you know what I'm talking about? And we about them Badlands, you know. So yeah. So give thanks to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your strong. You know what I'm talking about? Cafe Ole. Eats. Not. See, I gotta keep it together. So, but yeah. So give thanks, and I will see y'all next strong. All right. Peace.